5 seconds. Mics are hot. And you're live.
Good evening. This is the Town of Auburn Fire Station Building Committee meeting for August 11th, 2025. It's 6 p.m. Calling the meeting to order. Next item up on the agenda is public comment. Seeing no public here, we're moving on to the next. Review the meeting minutes. We had meeting minutes from July 14th were sent out to everybody. So just any comments, questions, corrections on there? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve them.
Motion to approve the July 14th meeting minutes
All right.
as distributed.
Second.
Okay. We got a motion to approve the July 14th meeting minutes and a second for it. So all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Those are approved. Next up is update from Tecton. So Matt's not here. We got to stand in.
Yeah, so for those who don't know me, my name is Tyler Ashesky, project architect with Tecton Architects. I've been working closely alongside with Matt throughout the process of this project, but today I am filling in for him. To give you guys a quick update on what's transpired since our last meeting. We have, about a week ago now, we've sent all the schematic design drawings out for estimate. We are expecting to hear back around the end of this month. So we'll keep you posted on when that comes in. We had our landscape and civil engineering kickoff meeting that was conducted mid-July to review initial design, site design, layout, and potential complications, potential design solutions, and so on. We also had our exterior design review that was on July 24th, where we met with the fire department and reviewed exterior materials and the overall design of the building for the exterior. I do have some renderings and an actual 3D walkthrough animation that I can show later, and we'll go into more detail on that. At the end of July, we had an interior layout overview. That was just kind of a final pass on the schematic design floor plans to make sure there were no outstanding items, make sure everything is still operating as intended and there weren't any major changes needed, and that meeting went great. Nothing major to note there. Later this week, we have our initial review with the building inspector, just to go through the floor plan, make sure that they're comfortable with everything we've proposed, make sure our egress is as expected and there's no concerns there. And later this month, we will have our first initial interior design review, where we'll go through each space on the interior, talk about finishes, and try to kind of define an interior palette that obviously will then get developed as we move further into design. We do have our 100% schematic design package due to the town at the end of this month, and we're on track for that. So landscape and civil design. This is a summary from that kickoff meeting. It's probably best if I bring up that current site plan so I can review some of these changes since we last spoke. So give me one moment. So to give a recap, this was the latest, the last site plan that we reviewed with you. Which had a curb cut off of Route 20 down here, another curb cut through the public parking onto Prospect over here. And a second curb cut. This is for fire-only access out to Prospect here as well. After review of this further, there's a couple things that weren't working exactly how we would like. Some challenges. One was this curb cut onto Prospect is very close to Route 20, and it will kind of crowd that intersection. It's not an ideal spot for it. So we looked at removing that. We also looked at revising or adding or moving that curb cut to an additional one off of Route 20, which is actually where the current curb cut is, which simplifies things a little bit. So let me jump into the latest one, and I can explain a little bit further. So this is the latest site plan. This is the main curb cut for public access into the parking for the fire station. That is at the location that the current curb cut is. It does simplify a little bit the approval process with Mass DOT. We will still have to apply for a curb cut access permit, but it should be more streamlined because we're not changing it. We're using the same one. We're just possibly widening it, but just improving it in general. We still have this additional curb cut, which is also an existing location onto Route 20. This is for emergency exit only for the fire department, not for public access. Same thing with this one that's adjacent to the apparatus apron. The exits out onto Prospect so that the department has multiple egress routes out of the site. Another thing to note is we are showing a flood line here. This is a bit of an arbitrary line that came from FEMA on the GIS map data, and it's not fully confirmed at the moment. So we're erring on the side of caution. So we've reduced parking so that way we're limiting the amount of work that happens within that flood zone. So you can see our parking kind of comes up to the edge here,
Your survey will.
as well as here. Right. So we currently have our civil engineer, Fuss & O'Neill. They are currently under contract to do the full survey of the site. And with that, they will confirm this flood zone. And with all likelihood, based on historical data that we have, that flood zone will likely move closer to the wetlands, which should free up some more parking. But for now, until we have full information, we wanted to err on the side of caution there.
Tyler, can I just ask through the chair? Can I ask
Sure.
a question relative to that change? So that, I completely understand that entrance off of Prospect was gonna be that was gonna back things up, you make a turn in there. But under this current one, without a secondary access, there would be no access for people coming eastbound on Route 20 to enter the facility. They would not be able to make a left across the double yellow line legally to get into the facility there. And as MassDOT's doing in a lot of their projects as they're going along, they are, eventually, it'll probably be Jersey barrier the whole way through, which would not allow, short of them reconfiguring that intersection to allow a U-turn at the light, a lane, that left turn lane to make a U-turn, would not allow access legally to the site. So are there any considerations for that, or a secondary entrance further up on Prospect that would allow the people to come in from the, I guess, the north of the,
So if you go, can you move the plan down a little bit where the apparatus discharge and that two-way traffic next to the Peace Garden there, that's for fire use only?
Currently, yes.
I could have sworn today during our meeting with the DOT, I had asked about the left turn because I said, is that the only entrance from the other side? And they seemed to be okay with it. I didn't know that was an illegal turn though, past the.
It's because there's a turn lane there.
Yeah, there's
already
a
for
left only there.
Right in front of there.
I'm sorry,
There is a left turn lane
in front of,
right in front
Yeah,
of
it's
that
like
entrance.
right. It starts to like
It starts a little before.
5 feet to the right of the entrance.
are they gonna
there.
restripe it though, so that there's not a double solid?
What if we build it first?
Yeah, so we should. I'll raise that to Mass DOT's
So
knowledge.
they had some comments about even the entry for the fire department. The furthest one over to the left, they want the turning radius is softened a little bit on that. And I'm sure once you get your survey done, we'll figure that out. I know you said it was 20 feet was adequate, but they were just talking about making it, you know, if we're gonna build it, let's make it so it's a little easier for the department. And the same on the other end. We had, and that's the dealership on the other side?
Yeah.
Yes.
So if you go to the upper part of that, where that curb cut, is that what they're right there. So they're saying if that shifted a little bit, otherwise, if we try to make the radius the same as the right to the left, you're on other property on there. And I'm not saying it's property that they would utilize for anything other than, you know, the entrance to come in, but they said if that shifted a little bit, you wouldn't have to go on to the other property, that's all. But that's something we can have a discussion to. And then the closest to Prospect Street at the corner, there's drainage that currently ties into them, they're gonna want that omitted. And then the sidewalk that runs, that ends to nowhere, I think that's something that we, as a committee, we wanna talk about, because there's not like a crosswalk that goes across Route 20 to get anywhere, and they don't like to see a sidewalk go nowhere, because it eventually ends. So we may omit that sidewalk that's there and just put grass in that location, just so everybody's aware. Those are some of the discussion points at DOT. We haven't even submitted on it. I know Hudson O'Neill knows the process of what we're gonna submit, but if we can clean those little items up before the submission, it's gonna go that much smoother. Any questions on the site at all? And we
Is
may-
there a, what's the reasoning behind the apparatus or the department only drive that goes around behind, just to keep people out of the way, or?
Yeah, it's usually best practice to keep the public traffic separate from the apparatus traffic. So that's the intention, to keep that clean, to make sure that the fire operation isn't interrupted at all by public traffic.
And what they typically do, I've seen on a lot of departments, if public pulls in there, they're gonna pull into those spaces behind and park in those spaces where they should be actually over in this locality, that's all.
Correct me if I'm wrong too, but during our civil meeting, I think that we said we were gonna put a hydrant on that access road, right? So you guys could fill up your trucks there. I think that was discussed too as well. So
I think the thought was, excuse me, employee parking in the rear.
Yeah.
And then if we were to allow access, if you look at this now, that might be confusing for someone that's, you know, trying to find like the main entrance. Now they're on the back access road. So I think that was kind of where we were, how we got there.
Just through the chair, I mean, I think if that road is there, the reality is. They're gonna use it. They're gonna use it. And do we use it, do we build it so that it's for its intention, or do we build it for its reality, which is people are gonna use that to get to
I
the
think
site and out of the site? I mean, build it so that it's clear that this is fire department only, this is.
I mean, but even as clear as you build it and the signage you put up, it's only as good as the people actually read it and follow those guidelines, you know? And if there's an emergency, if someone wanted to come in for medical and they couldn't get to that main entrance to get over to the fire station, they're gonna pull in front of the apparatus and, you know, scream and holler, so.
Yeah, I think we're thinking just like general business.
Right.
You know, the signage really is for general business. If there's a true emergency, we'll just handle it wherever it lands.
Right. Well, we'll look in, to your point, I think we at least need to look at that, that's all.
Because I would even look the other way and say, no matter what we do, people are going to use it. So think about designing it with the idea that people are going to use it, and instead of being a causeway or whatever, maybe it's a little more of a circle drive concept where the parking is maybe isolated, and maybe it's more obvious that that's not the front of the building, but this is a, I don't know, like a circle or a parkway or something, where you're leading them to where they want to go, if they come in that, because I have the same thoughts on the Southbridge Street side, right? I mean, that's been there forever. If people realize that you can get to the fire station from there, then people are gonna drive down that unless you gate it.
So yeah, we had a conversation, yeah, Glenn and the department and the civil about that street, the cut through street, and the option 2 is we could add gates too, like that will open up with the siren. So if there is an emergency that they have to cut out, they can flip them on, go out the back of the apparatus, and go out there. So we're talking about some options. I don't know if we're necessarily going to do electric gates, but we're going to do manual. I don't know. Well,
Heavy
we've
duty
talked-
brush
yeah.
guard, same thing.
We've been talking with the department about that, though.
Okay.
Trying to plan for that. Yeah, because we do realize that.
We did look at a plan where they moved the entrance on Prospect Street closer to the apparatus bays, but then it kind of flows in front of the Prospect Street side. It makes it look it's a very awkward
Yeah, it's a
driveway, and you come around
down
the
and
corner.
Any new facility, no matter what you do on entry, and until people get used to where they go and how they go, you're gonna have a little bit of disruption. I know that.
I would say
Northbridge, look at
even
Northbridge,
when it
how
was-
that crazy that entrance is.
When it was Chuck's, I would say the vast majority of people would do the Prospect and in,
Yeah.
as opposed to, no one really wants to slow down on Route 20 because they're waiting to get waffled from behind. So I think there's gonna be a little bit of a pushback unless there's some sort of
we
public
could-
access.
We could potentially run an access road in the grass area from the back, but I don't know how that would look.
About where that piece, or where that memorial is it,
That's originally what Postway showed me, one where they'd come off that way and then come around
right?
in the front. He just said it was messy. He didn't like from an
flow of
engineer,
it.
he didn't like the flow of it.
The difficult part too is we've got the property line right here. So it gets,
Sorry, I was talking about that little circle area down
No, down to your right,
to the
Tyler.
right there.
oh, yep,
The other,
Yeah, right
Yeah.
there. If you made an entrance there just to come in right into the
Gotcha.
parking lot.
Does that
yeah,
pull
it's
the
like you have
back?
to snake in. Yeah, we did
Snake.
talk about that.
I think
I'm
this
just
is
saying if
what
you-
the original
Plan
cut
show.
that's there now.
It's kind of close to where that.
Yeah, it would be almost right on it. I'm just saying if you came off Prospect Street, that would make the most sense to put it there.
But that's the entrance, that's going to be the preferred entrance, Prospect Street.
Right. To your point, right.
And people don't particularly care for Route 20.
That's why I keep wondering if there's a way to take that on the north side and just say, hey, look, you come in off of 20 or you can come in through the back and around and it'll get you to the parking lot. And if you make it look like that's the way you're supposed to go,
If that was open to the public, would they use that as a cut through?
No.
for Route 20? No, I don't think so. People don't use the little one to the west.
Especially if there was a gate preventing them to get out of Southbridge Street, because the only cut through would be to go through, take a right, and a right to get into Dunks. If you can't get out onto Southbridge Street, then there's really no no reason to go through the,
Cutting across 3 lanes to get.
to get it,
We've had a couple of public events where we've used that parking lot, okay, as a staging area. Okay, the recent road event that they had,
The Tarantino.
Carantino event, thank you, okay, and all of the entrances were open, okay? Nobody used Route 20. So the preferred entrance really was Prospect Street.
So we'll task the architect and the civil engineer to look at that and maybe revisit some other option, that's all. Take a look at it. I mean, that was the preferred option from the civil engineer that he's presenting today. That's the reason why we have these discussions. Right? And it was Matt's idea, wasn't it? He's not here. I don't do that.
any other comments before we move off of site plan?
Okay.
I think we covered most of that in the site plan. All right, so exterior design. So let me jump into the 3D model, and I'll explain to you what some of those samples are out front. Okay, so this is a view taken looking northwest at the front corner of the building. You're kind of backed up against Route 20. The main entrance is right here. Your apparatus bays are over here. Exit out onto Prospect. So the main material palette we have here is a traditional red brick with some precast concrete accents at the base of the building here and around windows here and here. We also have some cement board panel and trim accents on the second floor between the windows here and here. And the sloped roofs would be all metal standing seam. So if you look at the materials there in front of you, that red is an example of a traditional red brick that we looked at with the department. We particularly liked the color tone of that and the texture. Inside, yep, what you just picked up, that is a mortar color. That mortar color is intended to match closely to the precast window surrounds and base of the building. It's usually a clean detail when those two materials kind of blend nicely together. That's the precast right there that you're holding.
Yeah, that'll be on the foundation for the.
Yep. It's typically called like a water table at the base of the building.
Yeah, not today.
That is an example of the cement board panel and or fiber cement board panel and trim. It goes on very similar to wood board and batten siding. However, it's much more durable.
Rain shield more than anything? Or is it actually fastened?
It's actually fastened, yeah. We will still have a weather barrier behind it, but it's fastened very similar to wood siding.
Okay, great.
Obviously much more durable, much lower maintenance, and not susceptible to insects. That is that small metal chip. That is the color we're looking at for the standing seam metal roof, slightly darker than the cement board panels. And then the last sample there, which is the plastic and wood. So that plastic piece that looks like wood right in front of you. So that is a plastic composite wood look ceiling system, which we are proposing to use on the underside of your main entry to give a little bit of warmth as visitors enter into the lobby. Another very durable, cost-effective material. The color chips that you're holding now, that's actually a different product, but it's similar. It's just to give a sense of the color that we're looking at. So that one on top should be walnut, I believe. And that's the color tone that the department is looking to go with at the moment.
So we're looking at just a monotone brick, though. It's not a range brick or anything. For the we've got kind of big expanses here. I mean, I know you get broken up with precast and stuff at Hardy Board, but it's, I don't know.
So brick is the hardest thing to render in these models. Typically,
well, I know, but even the sample that's there that's a monotone brick color. It's not a range.
Yeah,
it's not
again,
a range.
it's also with the brick samples, it's hard to get the actual color range of the brick. As you move further along, we can ask for custom samples that show the range. Typically, there will be some slight color variation in the due to the manufacturing process of bricks. So you have some darker tones, some lighter tones. So we can fine-tune that as we move further into design. As far as the large expanses of brick on the exterior of the building, this is still an SD level design. Yeah. There's going to be another level of detail that's added where we've look at some brick detailing where we might have some soldier coursing that runs across the certain areas of the facade, some recessed areas. So right now we've kind of have a soldier coursed recessed panel here between the
flashing as well, like some of the color flashing.
Yep.
Through wall.
Right.
And is that precast on the towers, is that the precast molding at the very top of that?
Yes, that is.
Tyler, is that, do you have precast up top above the sign, like around the windows as like the base for the sill?
This year?
Yeah.
Yes, that would be the precast surround right there. And at the main entrance over here.
There's a question through the chair, just in terms of colors and stuff, it looks fine, but and you mentioned durability and maintenance free or low maintenance costs. But are these proven materials? There's nothing.
Yeah, I mean, brick, you can't, I mean, if you're looking for a 50-year plus, you know, brick facades are the way to go. Especially with the newer construction. Back in the day when they just did CMU and didn't really have rain weeps or anything else, you know, you'd have that possibility of, you know, ice and water getting there, freezing and popping the brick. It doesn't do that anymore. And with the vapor barrier, you get a constant weather vapor barrier from the siding right to the roof membrane. So.
And all of these materials we've used many times on different projects and have a lot of familiarity with them.
But
To your point on the color, they will, and we will, require them to send samples out prior to making them the big order, because we want to get it right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
typically they'll do a sample wall, like a portion of the
Markup.
wall. Yeah, a little markup. Yeah, little markup area that we can see.
my other question too is the choice of precast at the base level versus going a little harder and go granite. I know it's more expensive, but
The
that's
precast
right. That's
be-
right against your.
because it's set
That's
back
right against your
from-
sidewalk where you're going to be shoveling and snow plowing and
Right.
everything.
Because of the sidewalk, I've had a lot of success with the precast along that base, especially on a brick facade, where there is a sidewalk and there, you know, the parking is 6 or 8 feet away. It comes down to, you know, obviously your ice melt and everything else that you're going to end up applying in that locale. Your sidewalks and precast get affected by it, but I haven't had significant, you know, problems with precast along the base of the building. I mean, with the experience with Tecton, have you guys had?
Yeah, no, I would agree. This is very similar. We did a project in Shrewsbury, similar base detail. We had precast at the base and brick above. It's withstand well thus far. Obviously, granite is nicer and you know, you could say slightly better material. It does come at an added cost, and we're definitely willing to explore that if it fits within your budget.
We've had split face block that deteriorates quicker than a.
Yeah, well, that's got more grooves and
Right.
places for the water to get into than anything else. I mean,
But it's almost like a sandstone look, like when it's.
Yeah, it's the big,
Oh.
the big long brick. That's what.
We can have them seal it. I mean, you can. this
Yeah,
is-
usually you can do, especially at the base, you could do a sealer on top of it as well to give it some extra protection along the way. Yep.
Tyler, just through this view, and I don't know if we've discussed it, but are there bollards for this design, and what would the contrast be with, what material would the bollards be?
There will be. We haven't gone into great detail yet on what the material of those bollards might be, even the location, but we would usually have them near the main entry, along parking to protect the building from vehicles. But the exact design and location hasn't really been discussed yet. But those you can do lighted bollards that they could be precast, similar to match the base. They could be black. A lot of times we'll do black bollards.
Yeah, they make the sleeves form.
Yep.
They color it.
So there's a lot of options there, and we'll make sure that it fits with the rest of the building. Sure.
Is there room along the sidewalk to do maybe a raised planter instead of bollards?
Along the sidewalk, it's pretty tight, like along this sidewalk here.
Yeah.
We are proposing a raised planter near the main entrance there, which
Yeah, we've seen
actually,
it where they've done those big cast planters as a bollard, especially on the main entrances, so. they're
We
looking
still-
into that as well.
we still may have room here too, because we have a grass strip in front, behind the sidewalk. So we may still have some room to do it there as well, which is a
Rather than having a line.
nice
bollard.
solution. Yep.
And to his point, I agree with you.
Planters are great when they first get done, and they're well treated, and they're beautiful flowers, but as time goes on.
Maintains them, right?
It maintains them, yeah.
you talking about Drury Square? No, just kidding.
Yeah.
Have you experimented with the brick, with maybe doing like a soldier course along the top of the windows, or just something to break up the running
Yeah,
bond?
yeah. So exactly, we have many sketches that we've been working through these elevations of different coursing patterns. We are thinking about introducing a line of either soldier course or a similar brick pattern. If I zoom in here, at the bottom of the windows, we do a row lock, a soldier course, and another row lock. But maybe introducing something similar to that on the two-story brick elements here to break those up a bit.
A different element of design along that with soldier course. It just breaks up the massing.
So that's kind of like the next level of detail that we'll start to dive into after SD.
Looks great.
Can you spin this
What is
to the
sign?
apparatus
The
sign?
Yep.
The emblems, what are they made out of?
Right now we're showing them as precast also. They could be cast metal too, but I feel like precast with the current material palette would make the most sense.
Beautiful building.
You are seeing right now, which the material isn't rendering correctly, but we do have various bunting hooks along above apparatus bay doors and windows and below the casement window here, which was coordinated with our last exterior design meeting with the department.
Is that a precast overhang at each of the apparatuses?
Yes,
Is there
that's
gutter
a.
in those as well?
There is no gutter there. It's a precast header detail above the apparatus, but there is all of the roof above the apparatus is sloping to that exterior wall and scuppered to downspouts. So there's no water shedding over the top of the apparatus bay doors. Any other thoughts or comments? What's the overall feel going in a good direction,
So,
bad direction?
yeah, last month, Matt had the flat roof with the hips on it and everything. So this is obviously getting back to the other design and taking that 5 feet out. So you guys worked out the details for that then, and I think you pushed the main entrance out. Is that what happened?
Yes. So
Yeah.
we kind of on the second story, we pushed the second story above the main entrance got pushed outward to provide like a covered walkway into the vestibule, and this allowed us to bring that main entry volume proud of the adjacent training room to the left there.
Really accents
cleaned
the
up.
entranceway
Yeah.
too, the way that you did that, so.
Does that create any second floor space, or is that just the opening to the atrium that's out there now?
There is a little bit more space in the corridor on the second floor along the bunks, but that's basically it. Basically, that one bunk kind of shifted forward a little bit more.
Any other follow-up questions?
Is it possible to see the 360 outside view? I know we've seen two sides, but
Yes. So we're still working on. We have a good chunk of it modeled. We're still kind of working on the staff entry. So it's in this model. It's not quite developed there yet. So I'd rather.
You think you
Wait,
can have it for
but-
next meeting?
Yeah, absolutely.
Get rid of that bush that's coming up on the corner. That one. You got access to Prospect Street.
So for me, big takeaways are start looking into the detailing of the brick a little bit further, including the brick material itself. Some exterior improvements like site site planters, bollard locations. Do you want us to look further into the granite base versus cast concrete base?
Worth knowing, I think.
I mean, I know you're in the middle of pricing now, so it's, I mean, it's,
It's a simple. That's a simple
if it's
call
a-
door estimator.
yeah.
It's a
say what
you know,
what's
linear
one,
footage.
What's one versus the other, yeah.
Right.
We can give an alternate number, that's all.
Tyler, did you say you use that in Shrewsbury?
Yeah.
That base?
Yep.
We are thinking about doing a tour of the Shrewsbury location, just to see, like, that's one of the most recent buildings they've built. So I think the deputy, the chief, and myself are gonna go out there. Any of you guys are invited. We can include the committee on that email if you want.
I think it'd be a good idea.
Just make sure your quorum's not, your quorum, just be careful of that, that's all. Post, if you're gonna put a group together, post it, that's all.
All right.
Okay, one question, can we
Yep.
go back to the site plan?
Oh yeah.
I know you mentioned keeping the curb cut on Route 20 where it is a little more streamlined. How much would it be to move it in line with the front entrance? So when people pull in off Route 20, the front is like right there,
I mean, it's
instead of off to the side?
it's similar. I mean, it might be a little bit more complicated or a longer review process with Mass DOT because it's relocating the curb cut. My other concern might be the way how it relates to the landscape we have right in front of the building. I want to make sure that there's enough like clear room when your main entry. You kind of have a little bit more room with the parking on the opposite side to it versus all of this, but that can be redesigned to work as well, and that's something that we should review with Mass DOT as we kind of move further along in that process and make sure they're comfortable with the curb cut and how the traffic is intended to
I'm
work.
sure you'd want a straight shot to the front door, though.
Safety-wise, I would want to see straight.
Yeah, I mean, if we were set back from the road more, where you could put a circle or a plaza or something out in front, then I could see that. But I would just be worried that
Straight shot through.
somebody would come right in and just park in the vestibule.
Right.
At least this way you have to turn in order to,
Right.
and with people trying to get in and out the door and things like that.
I agree.
I know we covered this in depth at the beginning, but the part we didn't cover is exiting too. So with that single entrance, everybody's gonna be required, that the left turn lane isn't gonna matter there. Everybody's gonna be trying to go west on Route 20, or they're gonna try and go across 4 lanes of travel, or 5 lanes of travel to head east. So
Yeah, we'll look into it and give a couple options.
Yeah, I think it's a matter of, as far as, if we're allowing public access through to the back kind of drive to loop around from Prospect and Route 20. I think it's just looking at that traffic flow, making sure it's not interrupting any of the fire operations, and then if we need to introduce gates to prevent, like if we don't want people coming out onto Route 20 over here, we'll probably need a gate over on that exit too.
We
But
were
I
looking
think
to
that's
shut that completely off.
right.
Yep.
The last time we spoke, we just haven't shown it on the plan
Okay.
yet.
You can put a right turn only sign like at the high school, and then everybody can ignore it like at the high school.
double solid lines.
Yeah.
Response time for the crashes would be incredible, though.
There's just another view of the exterior materials with the rendering of the current design.
Correct me if I'm wrong. When we looked at the brick with the department, wasn't there like what they call it? Like the burnt. It was like the burnt edges. So like there was different variations. Of
Yeah,
the pattern.
so-
it broke up the flatness of it.
Right,
You
so
know? Go ahead.
Yeah, you can specify a flashed brick. So during the kiln process, they'll flash it with a lot of heat, which means the outer bricks in the batch will get a little bit, let's say charred, will get a little bit darker, and you'll actually see some line patterns of where the bricks are kind of laid on top of each other, which creates a kind of interesting, more varied effect, which often looks pretty nice. So that's an option that we can explore as well.
Any of the stations that you've done that they
The
could look
middle
at?
school's like
I'm pretty sure Shrewsbury has a flashed
Talked
brick.
about looking at the middle school. Talked about matching that. to see
Yeah,
what-
when we were looking at the materials too, we pulled up the middle school to kind of base the design off of the color scheme and all that. And from what I remember off memory, I think that had like the variation brick colors on it. So it is an option though, to Tyler's point.
I'm pretty sure Shrewsbury Police Station had a flashed brick in there.
So you guys go over there, just take pictures.
It's kind of touching on the interior layout overview. We went through each space in detail with the department, as well as what systems and equipment should be coordinated in each space. There was no major changes that came out of that meeting. It all went well. That's all I have here. If there's anything else we want to touch on further, I can go back to any slide.
My one question would be, what's next steps on your guys' end for us to,
So we're gonna, what the estimate, it's out for estimating right now. When we get those numbers back, then we're gonna reconcile that a little bit and look at, if we're on budget, we're gonna just keep, obviously come back to the committee and let you know, but if we're not, then we'll have some further conversations on some alternatives if we need to.
okay.
Thank you.
All right,
Thanks.
thank you.
Thanks, Tyler.
Next item,
Sure.
OPM, OPM updates.
So there's, we had a good meeting with, the engineers were out for test pits. We had some, DPW assisted us with actually doing some test pits within the parking lot area, corners of the property, the lower level by the wetlands. We just wanted to see what the existing conditions were in those localities so that we were consistent in our description of what the gradation and soil content was. We met with conservation. They were very informative and helpful. They felt if we could get our package together and ready for submission in September, which we're
On track.
yeah, so we're on goal for doing that. After the submission, they typically will come and do a site walk. The civil engineer described, what work would be done along the wetland area. There is a locality where there's some concrete within that facade, but it's not. There's nowhere where we're actually impeding into the wetland area, so they were very comfortable with what we're doing. The existing roadway may get shifted a little bit when the civil engineer is done with the survey in the wetlands. We have hired them to do the survey to make sure it's definitive and clear enough so that once he puts the entire package together, there's clarity on all of that as we move forward. We actually went up onto the veterans area too and did a test hole there to see if there was any ledge or large boulders. We will be carrying an allowance for trench rock because I know we're going to encounter quite a bit of it. So at least we'll know what that cost unit price is for doing that as we move forward as well. We had a meeting today with it's Park and Shop.
The property owner of
Yeah, property owner, and we were talking about just the radius turns coming out of Prospect Street, and I don't think it was as favorable a meeting as I would have liked to seen, but we had the DOT there, the Department of Public Works, us and Fire Department, and we had a lot of conversation about what to expect, what not to expect. They don't want to give up any parking spaces. If we needed any of the land, they would want to be compensated for it. And I think as the civil drawings get more defined and the entrances get all defined, I think, we'll look at that point and determine if there's any kind of issues moving forward. I don't see that we need to do that right now. I think we need to really hone in and come to a conclusion on the overall access points. Is that a fair estimate? We did go out to Route 20. The current intersection at Route 20 and Prospect Street is not in compliance with what their standards are currently. So if we really looked at making a left-hand turn radius over by the supermarket, it would be a whole separate project to reconfigure that intersection to meet what the DOT standards are right now. And it sounded like the cost would be town-borne.
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just to be crystal clear. Then we talked about the entrances going up Route 20 and what they wanted to see. They didn't find any objection to the cuts that currently were shown on the plan because they were existing to start with, but they wanted some softening of the radiuses along there. So, which made it pretty straightforward. Their submission, they want us, so our final design, whatever decision this committee makes, they want to see it sooner than later because it takes a little bit longer for their approval process, which we're all aware of. And the engineer knows, they've submitted to them pretty regularly. So I'd like to have you at least put a schedule together of what we can anticipate on that. And then I'd like to make sure that we get an approval from the committee over the next meeting or so that we can get it in front of them sooner than later. We do have a courtesy meeting with the building department just to kind of go over program, building layout and all of that. We'll give you an update after that meeting's concluded. We always like to get in front of them because they have some key components and discussions that may affect, the design here and there a little bit. That's all. Other than that, we're meeting with the architects and the department regularly just to make sure that the level of design and the details associated with it stay on track. That's where we're at.
Okay.
In the meeting with the property owner for parking shop, did it come up about them cleaning up their part of the corner with the eyesore?
So the corner where the Jersey barriers are?
Yeah, and there's a bunch of rusty columns just sticking out
Yeah,
out of nowhere.
I'm surprised with the accidents that have happened that, none of that got addressed during that process. So,
Just so you know, that why those are there is the tractor-trailer trucks
Yeah.
making the right, don't swing it correctly.
and the traffic impedes,
Out the traffic lights, they've taken out their signage,
Yeah.
so that's
The-
when the Jersey barriers went
The
in.
way it was explained by the owner is if there's any issue with the emergency vehicles hitting it, that's the only way he would want to address that.
so
I just want to, Parking Shop is a great community supporter. I don't want to use that as the name. I think Auburn Plaza, is that the correct name of the, I don't even know what the correct name of that property is, but I think that's the term we should
Yeah,
be using.
yeah.
In the discussion.
Sorry, that's
It's
sorry.
just the
I'm
most
just saying for
adjacent
discussion.
store.
No, yeah.
We don't have any angst with the.
No,
no,
it's a
agreed.
great
Yeah,
Community
agreed,
partner,
yeah.
and I understand there's some
The
angst.
property in
about it.
general.
Yes, property owner.
So
Yep.
I think maybe addressing that corner would be at a higher level, higher than my pay. So I think the town would have to probably address that somehow.
I'm surprised MassDOT didn't glom on. That's really I think that's a MassDOT design and.
Yeah.
Well,
approach
with those
issue.
columns?
No, the turn in general.
Oh, no, they totally agree that it doesn't comply with what their standards are currently right now. That was verbatim out of their mouth. So
Yeah.
if it is touched, it would have to be brought up to their standards. And I'm sure a lot of what you're talking about would get addressed.
On all
on
four
the-
corners too, probably not only I think that's what Mass DOT was
On our
basically saying.
dime.
Yeah.
Unless we went to our reps and tried to secure an earmark or
Yeah,
something.
I'm just saying, it's just, I'm
Yeah.
trying to, I guess what I'm trying to say to you is that our budget is X. If that has to get touched, it's a separate chunk of money. You don't have it in your budget to hit that,
No.
I'll tell you that much.
Could you just remind me the initial thoughts or the ideas relative to Prospect Street and possibly pushing out a little bit? What was the thought and what were we going to gain?
The radius coming off of Route 20, turning onto Prospect would make another lane. So that the turning would be a lane over from everybody else, so that tractor trailers and everybody else would make that corner without
We
the
talked about
impeding
expanding
traffic
a little
going the
bit
other way.
for the apparatus as well to swing and whatnot. It was going to be
I
just
don't
a
think
little
the
more.
apparatus is gonna have any trouble getting out,
It's
based
set
on the
back,
apron
yeah.
that
Set
you
back.
have there. I think the parking spaces across the way, was that to back the apparatus back in the event that you turned in? But I thought based on your radius on your apron, I thought you had plenty of room to be
Yeah.
able to do that.
The initial conversation with the property owner was just to get it started to see if during this project, if there was anything that the public wanted to see in regards to Prospect Street, if he'd be willing to do anything or work with the town in regards to potentially having us widen the road or change some of the intersections around. We wanted to see what his appetite was for that, and we learned that today, so.
But, correct me if I'm wrong, is some of that town property beyond the entrance to? Because historically, it's always from the, what is it, the
It's-
crown of the
it's-
road, so many feet?
It's not much. It's maybe on the Route 20 Prospect Street, I think we have about 2 feet. That would be the towns, and then the rest is the plazas. And then on the other end, on the Southbridge Street side, it's maybe right at the sidewalk edge, belongs to the plaza.
To your
not-
point, it's center
not
point of
much.
rate, and usually you go off the center point of the main road, and certain distance on both sides is within the parameter of the roadway work. What he's saying is that that road's pretty wide to start with, whatever that standard is, it's not much on either side right now.
We looked at the plan today with the property owner and his management team.
2 feet is ours.
Yes.
Which comes to shove, 2 feet is ours.
At one side.
On one side, on
Yeah.
the Auburn Plaza side.
No, one end. He's talking, that's down toward Route 20.
Just at the intersection. About.
Okay.
Right, that was the intent anyway. Any questions?
All right. So Tyler mentioned that the SD package is due the 29th. Is that the fully vetted, or is it still time after that you need to
No, you can,
work it?
you still got time, so.
No. I meant for you guys. No. I'm talking about. I'm just trying to figure out timing here. Whether, it doesn't make sense to have a next meeting on the 25th.
No,
If
I
it's
think
not in,
they
because
would
I don't think
prefer
there's enough
after
in.
the
But
29th.
but we're then we're after September 1st. Labor Day and pushing into.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Okay.
I'd like to have that, that submission completed so that we have,
Right. I wanted to make sure there was enough time before the next one.
And it'll give us time to really vet the estimate that comes back. So you're not gonna have it Labor Day weekend, I take it?
No.
Coming to the Monday.
The next Monday after that is the 8th, but yeah. But is Selectmen back on?
Usually they do a Tuesday meeting if theirs falls on the Monday holiday, but I'm not sure what their official schedule is.
But I thought they were the second and fourth Mondays and not the first and thirds, right?
Oh, yeah. He said it's like- As we refine this, Mr. Chair, would you want to bring maybe after schematic to the select board just for an update? Keep them abreast of,
Yeah, we might.
to give maybe have a civil drawing and the exterior of the building, just like maybe that 3D
Some updates
model,
and
just
how
to
we're
give
doing
them-
it.
Timeline.
How we're doing against budget and stuff.
I
Yeah.
just think it would, just keep transparent, that's all.
Yep. All right.
When did you say that was?
The second and fourth, so they're the 8th and 22nd. So
16.
so the 15th would be the next
Yeah.
one in between.
And of course, if anything comes up too, we can always discuss having a special meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, 2 weeks. I don't think you have enough to do anything to update, and I just want to make then we can at least get some of the information, digest it, and come in with the questions, and comments, and stuff from that point.
And we'll have the presentation to the committee prior to the meeting too. That way, you guys can read and digest it before you go to bed. Coming to the meeting, so we'll have it to you.
All right. Next item is just our open discussion topics from the committee. If there's any.
One question I had is, what's the next decision point that we need to make as a group?
Schematic design will be, I like to vote every phase, that way there's no, the worst thing that could possibly happen is we continue to DD and then not vote schematic and then turn around and say, well, we never voted it or we had changes. So schematic design will be that next step.
Okay. And we should be able to do that on the
On
15th?
the on the
15th.
15th.
15.
On the 15th, yeah.
Okay.
Through the chair, do we have any update on the National Grid negotiations?
We actually met with them and talked with them about the submission. Civil drawings were being refined as far as pole location, all of that. There'll be a formal submission to them. They wanted that as early as we could too. I want to say it was early September that the civil engineer was going to be putting, electrical engineer, putting the information together. So they're a slow process, but they did say for public safety, they typically would initiate it in a sooner manner, so we're working on it.
Also kind of tied to the survey too.
Yeah. Yep. A lot of moving parts.
Well, that intersection is full of poles.
Yeah, but I think we went over the locality of how those were gonna, and what we were kind of feeding off of. They had some comments back to us, so. A lot of electrical around that site.
They should just bury it, but they're not gonna, so.
Well, it's not just the electric barrier, okay? We've got,
All the telecommunications that are on it.
oh, we've got multiple vendors and,
Yeah.
okay, one of the biggest user of those poles is the town. That's where all our
The
fiber is.
repeaters, yeah, the fiber,
Yeah.
yep.
It's all in all those poles.
All right. Any other comments, questions? All right, then. So right now, the next meeting is tentatively scheduled for the September 15th, Monday at 6 p.m. We'll get packages before that for the design, the SD estimates and packet stuff, and
We'll keep you informed of that. We'll follow up with a email to
Okay.
the group so that you can disperse it.
Okay. All right, so if there's no other discussions or questions, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second? All those in favor? All right, thank you. Thank you for your presentations.